Now, this last part of what I want to talk about is coming back to this notion of dismantling poverty, right? There are three groups that I want to mention here, right? And this is related to economic mobility, right? If we're working with a group of dads who are on a college campus, whether it's, it's the University of Texas, it's Tuskegee, it's Johns Hopkins, it's Morgan, it's any college or university you can think of, those dads are on a trajectory where they're going to be surrounded with support from career counselors. They're going to, even if they don't know what they ultimately want to do, they're going to be on a learning journey to help identify what their interests are and what their path to economic mobility and security will look like, right? And so case management for them is a relatively light touch, right? If Cynthia and I, if we happen to lose our jobs because of, maybe what we do is outdated and becomes obsolete, and we need to, we're displaced because of that, we probably have enough of a network, we have probably enough skills that case management for us may be a little heavier than for students, right? But, it's not going to be a heavy touch. But when we think about the dads who represent the data on that zip code slide that I showed, they have really, really high barriers to labor force attachment. So what is needed to work with them is not going to happen overnight. And I will admit that, I have been a part of trying to manufacture overnight or microwave success stories because I want to please a funder or I want to make a report look good. Not to do anything illegal, but just to say that, okay, we help somebody get a job at $14 an hour. That may meet somebody's standard, whether it's the U.S. Department of Labor or state labor or some other standard. But if we're talking about an adult who happens to be a parent, there's literally no way that $14 an hour, right, is going to be sufficient to help that person achieve economic stability and to stay there and continue to prosper, right? So, but that may be the reality of where some people have to start. But that means that we have to go deeper with them over a longer period of time. And the case management associated with that population group is much more intense, right? And if we want to help them get to another level of economic prosperity, then we can't be shy about talking about what it absolutely takes to be able to get there. So what we did, we took a step back and we looked at several data sets of what we refer to our clients as members, of our members, and we looked at the issues that they presented the most. And that had to do with child support, workforce development, housing, childcare, legal, financial capability, transportation, and a few others that I can't really call off the top of my head. And then we had a benchmark under that to determine for each one of those dimensions that apply to a particular member, where they were on a trajectory between being in crisis and thriving, right? And then case management was structured so that we sat down with a member and that person charted his or her own course, right? And that determined where they were against each one of those dimensions and what level of case management they need, particularly early on. And we should be doing case management if we're doing that intensive, that we're able to identify and sometimes predict when somebody may slip so that we can interject case management and ramp it back up and to support somebody who may have fallen short, right? And we said that when we interviewed our members, the most successful ones who were in spaces like I used to be back in the day, they said to us, the reason why we become so successful is because we could keep coming back over multiple years. And when we looked at the qualitative data along with the quantitative data, it said that the most successful people for the target population that we're working with those with high barriers, that it would take between 3 to 5 years. And our funding streams did not align with that. But that was the reality of what we knew it was going to take. So we decided that we would take a step back and we would codify what we were learning into a strategy that we called All In, which meant that we would go deeper with people over a longer period of time, 3 to 5 years, and we were going to overlay that with additional education and skills training that would allow a person to, based on labor market data, to create certifications in certain industry sectors that they then could go through with support from us that they could achieve realistically, independent of a criminal record, because we looked at the data to determine what sectors they could get in where a criminal record would not be a barrier.